Welcome to 𝐄𝐓𝐇. We talk about investing, finance, and professional development. So current time of 9:05 a.m. Eastern Time on July 14th on Thursday. Hope you guys have a great week so far, by the way. Ethereum contract $1,087, that about 2.4% so far. Respect over crypto market and the equity market on this Thursday morning so far. It seems like it's relatively bearish still on a pre-market perspective, down about 1.5% across all the indexes, Dow Jones, S&P, and Nasdaq. Oil has also dipped a little bit, just levitating around the $95 mark, while your 10-year yields is spiking again, reaching 2.97% as of this morning. In respect to obviously the CPI report that came out yesterday, it was a quite negative one, right? But as people digest this report, the technical spectrum on the respective assets and equity have hit a mark, reaching a monumental resistance level, which Ethereum specifically was 1,000, right, or 1,050. We want to be very specific. So we are still at the cusp of basically staying above the 4-digit mark. But as we approach, obviously, the FOMC meeting, and if we're going to hear very negative verbiage from Jerome Powell, then let's say that, his counter to the high inflationary pressure that we're experiencing from the CPI report is something, and he's going to be raising the rates again, right? And remember, 75 basis point that we have done last month was already quite bananas, right? Is there a possibility that he's going to raise this to completely 1%? And seems like the efficacy with respect to the 75 basis point did not work. That's why you kind of have to be more aggressive, right? And as of this morning, this doesn't convey confidence again. It actually kind of dismiss it. It seems like the wholesale, which is the PPI number, it also shoots up as a record high of 11.3%. And some of the key drivers mainly due to the energy costs, like gas prices is blowing up out of proportion recently, but obviously has dipped down. But we talk about more of a historical number, right? And with respect to some of the earnings that we also want to be mindful of, is with respect to like J.P. Morgan, Citibank, and Morgan Stanley. It seems like all these banks are suffering quite royally. J.P. Morgan's earning fell by 30%. Talk about like one of the largest banks in the U.S., but also in the world, I would say. Has built a really large reserve for bad loans, and with respect to the lack thereof on the mergers and acquisition or capital raising front market, is also hindered. And this is applicable to not just J.P. Morgan, but Morgan Stanley, Citibank are also also suffering this problem at the moment. I missed one. Bank of America also, have, well, it's not like they have their earnings, but their economist has spoken about the S&P 500 target. It seems like they are making a price target adjustment downward by 5% by year end. So technically, what you foresee, in the near future, is that we should end on this year at a relatively lower spectrum in comparisons to what we were expecting before. And then some other news that I'm also seeing is with respect to Janet Yellen. And she's basically regurgitating something that we've known for quite some time now, is with respect to the inflationary pressure in the U.S. is unacceptably high. And she does foresee that the Fed might be taking a more of an aggressive approach going forward. So we'll see how that goes, right? I think, this, regardless of us trying to time all of these like macro factors, that's, quite messy and complex and it's hard to follow. But I would say most of the needles are pointing downward at the moment. And I think this kind of, confirms with the technical that we have been studying together on a day-to-day basis, right? That, looking at the technical right now, looking at Ethereum and Bitcoin, and I would say the overall market, including all the altcoins, are trading quite comparably, including the stock side as well. that with respect to Ethereum right now, we are clearly below the 1150, just above the 1050 mark, also as a resistance level. But you can see that we are still bearish on a MACD. We still need to cross down to form a death cross. So as we form a death cross, you're going to see something similar to what you saw back in June 12th. And you basically have that escalated downward. It seems like it's quite comparable in terms of like the consolidation that we've been forming so far. So reaching lower level to 950, 850, obviously 750, like we kept talking about, all the way down to the extremity of 575, it's an impossibility, right? And you can see that with respect to the inertia on the RSI, it's also being canceled out at the 42 out of 70, coming down at the moment. So seeing more sell-off as we approach the FOMC meeting, which is, I would say, a week and a half out from now, it's very likely, right? So, yeah, I would say this is something that is not a surprise, so just mentally prepare yourself for it. It's about a setup that you want to be buying, not like try to time the market, right? I respect the Bitcoin at 19,500 at the moment. I would say it's comparable, right? You could see that we're about to cross down. We want to cross down because eventually you need to. So that means seeing sell off down all the way, 1850, 18,500, 17,500, 15,000 all the way would be the extremity. And based on the current setup right now, I think it's very logical. And then some of the altcoin are, I would say, all of them are about to form a death cross. You can see that Dogecoin has already formed one, so we will see some more sell-off. Cardano as well. Solana, I would say, is about to form a death cross, but it's very fused together, so I don't foresee it to be a major leap down. It's surging right now is due to mainly due to its own micro application. XRP about to form a death cross. Polkadot's about to form a death cross. Algorand is getting there. Shiba Inu, same thing. Yeah, so the overall market is quite bearish, I would say, collectively. And I think as we approach, the FOMC meeting, and all of the factors that we'll be identifying so far, it's unfortunately on the wrong side of the spectrum, right? Negative CPI report, and this is not just like moderately negative. I'm talking about severely negative. PPR report seems like it's also another record negative number. Now you're going to be seeing all of these corporate earnings that are all pointing downward from here. Economy is definitely struggling, right? So it's definitely mentally prepare yourself. So yeah, let me know if you have any questions, and I appreciate you for joining me again. And take care and have a good day. Bye.